My name is Barbara, and I'm a boring social scientist. And the other bad news is that I think my head is a little bit too small for this contraption, so forgive me if I readjust it. So I chose this slide because it symbolizes my life. I've spent all my adult life at university, first as a student, then as a doctoral student, then as a postdoctoral researcher, and then I eventually became a professor. But I haven't been interested in books as such, but I've been interested in what makes people happy, what makes people suffer, and what makes people do what they do. And one way of looking at that is looking at the societal aspects of medicine. And my colleagues and I, we've been researching and teaching for many years about how society influences the practice and the science of medicine and the biosciences and the other way around. And recently, I have become a bit unsatisfied with some of the things that we've been doing. And I don't think it has anything to do with, textbooks getting outdated or the rapid advancement of medical technologies. It's, of course, the advancement of medical technologies is rapid, but it's a bit of a cliché to blame everything on that. I think it's a much deeper change to how we think about health and medicine that we're witnessing here. And I think one of the silent shifts, so one of the silent divisions that we have now when we think about medicine and health and when we regulate medicine and health is that on the one side of the divide are the knowledge producers. So it's the researchers, the scientists, and on the other side are the ones who receive the knowledge. It's typically the patients, patients' families, patients' advocacy groups. So on the one side are the experts, on the other side are the lay people. On the one side is the realm of the medical, and on the other side is the realm of the non-medical. And I think this division is absolutely no longer tenable. And I would like to give you 2 examples for what I mean. The first one is a network of patients. It's called Patients Like Me. It was founded in 2008 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, it has over 100,000 participants. And it's concerned with 500 conditions and diseases. And if you can read this here, you can share information about yourself, about your disease, about your health condition, about the drugs that you take, about where you live, and then you can find patients like me. So one of the things that this platform does, this network, is it helps people find clinical trials. So people with a severe health problem, sometimes a way of helping them is for them to get drugs that are not yet licensed. So they want to go into clinical trials, and instead of waiting for their doctors to find a trial for them and enroll them, this platform helps them to find a trial that suits them so they can proactively try to get enrolled if it's suitable. But it doesn't stop there. You probably all heard of motor neuron disease or Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS. It's a disease, a lot of the patients die within a couple of years. It affects, as the name suggests, the neurons that control movement. So at the end, patients cannot breathe and swallow anymore. And in 2008, a group of Italian researchers carried out a study with 44 participants, ALS sufferers, and they took a substance called lithium carbonate. So some of you might know that lithium carbonate is used mainly as a mood stabilizer. And in this study, which was published in 2008, the Italian team found that in those ALS sufferers, lithium carbonate had the sort of side effect, or the effect, that it slowed down the progression of ALS. So, as for those of you who heard the Tim Hartford talk, Marmite could be a cure for a disease, maybe lithium carbonate could actually help ALS sufferers. Just under 350 patients on the network, patients like me, decided when they read these results, decided to not only take lithium carbonate, but decided to take it in a controlled way, in a controlled and systematic way. So they started to take a particular dose, they registered the dosage, other components that were relevant. They meticulously noted down how their own symptoms changed. And in 2011, a few months ago, they published the results in a very highly ranked medical journal, scientific journal, Nature Biotechnology. So almost 350 patients proved the Italian research study wrong. It showed that in those 350 patients, lithium carbonate didn't have, unfortunately, the effect of slowing down ALS. So this was taken up by a lot of media, not only because the finding that ALS could probably not be helped with lithium carbonate, but also because, as you can see here, a social network can do something positive, which is apparently noteworthy, because the users of social network, there's this cliche, of course, that they do this just to entertain themselves and to create value for themselves. So these people, many of them who knew that they would not, even if it helped them, they wouldn't live to bear the fruits of their trial, they participated in this anyhow. The second, I think the colors are not very good here, so you can probably not read it. The second is a company which also received a lot of media attention, 23andMe. Who in this room has heard of 23andMe? Then who has taken the test? What they are famous for is that in 2007, together with a small group of other companies, they started to offer genome tests online. So you log on, you order a spit kit. It's a little funnel that you fill with saliva. It's actually quite a lot of saliva that you have to donate here. And you send it in, and the company then analyzes your DNA, and you get results, genetic risk profiles for all sorts of things. It starts with very, mundane thing like hair curl. It concerns your genetic predisposition to certain diseases, ranging from Alzheimer's to diabetes. And it also says something about drug response. So how likely are you to respond well to particular drugs? That's what they're known for. What they also do is that they are a social network. So you can, once you have signed up, you can share your data with friends and family. You can share parts of your genome, and you can use their web-based chat service, and you can actually find distant genetic relatives on the other side of the world. And something else, by the way, here you see me spitting in the early days, and as you can see, I didn't look very happy because the whole discussion was really, in the early days of this service, dominated by the risk to those participants. So people are getting into this, they don't know what they're doing, they might not understand the results. So this is the slide of my drug response, just updated, it's a couple of days old, so you get constant updates. And here it's just the first line that I like to highlight. Here I learned that I was likely to have a reduced response to a substance which is used to prevent blood clots. So if I ever have to take blood thinners, that's useful information. But this is what they're known for. What they also do is that they encourage people to share information about their lifestyles, caffeine usage, to share information about their genetic ancestry, and fill in all sorts of forms that surveys that contain questions relating to lifestyle, medical history, drugs that you take, diet, and so on. And then they use that for medical research. And also a couple of months ago, this was in a journal called PLOS ONE. It's an open access journal, a scientific journal. This company published the results of data that had come from their users, from this social network, or from this website. So they had replicated 180 genetic associations. What does this mean? It means that clinical researchers, medical researchers, had established through traditional means associations between 180 diseases or conditions with particular sections on the genome, which doesn't say anything about the causality, but it suggests that this particular locus, this spot on the genome, is related to the disease or condition. And this company, based on the self-reported data, replicated these associations. And they make a very strong argument in that paper that self-reported data that comes from patients and can sometimes even be checked with them because they are basically online, so information can be received almost in real time. That this can be, in some contexts, a more robust way or a more valid way of generating information. A study that colleagues and I carried out at King's College London was that we sent out questionnaires to 10,000 volunteers in our Twins UK registry, and over 4,000 responded. And we asked them whether they would take such a test, such as 23andMe, but not only 23andMe offers this. And if they would take it, what they would take it for, what would they want to know, what would they do with this information? And many of them said they would like to know more about their own health, but 4 in 5 said that they wanted to discuss the results with their children, their actual or their potential children. So if you just remember the drug response result that I got, that I wouldn't be a good responder to this blood clot preventing medicine, this could be something relevant for family members. As a matter of fact, I informed a family member of mine who is taking blood thinners, because she could also be a non-responder. So this cliché of the user of such networks, of such websites as this narcissistic person who wants to know, who invests money into knowing more about herself or himself, not only what they look like on the outside, but also on the inside, at the level of their genes, it's a bit of a cliché, it's not that black and white. These people are not just narcissists, and they're clearly not only the helpless victims of predatory for-profit companies. I could go on, I could give you many more examples. This is a game, a computer game, Folded. And of course, people playing computer games are another group in society which are portrayed in mainstream media discourse as not contributing a lot to society. They're the sort of recluses who sit in their rooms with popcorn and soda and play computer games all day. So this game admittedly attracts a particular group of gamers because it doesn't involve shooting anyone, but it involves folding proteins. So it's a logical puzzle, if you will. And a lot of people played this game, and they actually solved a puzzle that researchers had been thinking about and breaking their brains over for many years. Namely, they discovered, by playing the game, the way that a particular HIV-related protein was folded. And the way it's folded, it's important because it determines the function. Again, this was published in a journal. Twitter, another of those social media that are known as a tool for people who want to share with the world what they had for breakfast or the way where they go on vacation. Twitter is being used very intensely by researchers to get comments from other researchers to get help in solving problems. After the earthquake in Japan, it was used to coordinate disaster relief. And it's being used by health authorities to prevent pandemics and to circulate information in real time in a targeted way. So I think, or I hope, what has become clear is that this division between the knowledge producers and the experts on the one hand, and those who are passive recipients of information and lay people on the other is no longer tenable. And we now have experts, knowledge producers, and knowledge recipients on actually everywhere in the domain. And I'm sure that in this room, there are some people who have participated in knowledge production for health already, sometimes maybe even without your knowledge. But an increasing number of people do it with their knowledge, and they do it because it's useful and because it's also fun. So we are moving, I think, or we have moved from the era of medicine, with this division, to the era of health 2.0. This is a term that I didn't coin, it's a term that's being used by colleagues and by activists. And this era of health 2.0 is dominated by one term, collaboration. And it involves a fundamental redistribution of power, expertise, and agency across those networks. And it is, as some people claim, it is certainly an era of data-rich medicine, but what I would like to highlight is that a lot of the data that will be put to use for health purposes will not come from the health domain. It will come from the users of mundane technologies, it will come from citizen scientists, it will come from domains where it has not been collected explicitly for health purposes, and vice versa. It's also an era where the analysis of the data has already become a big market. So to stick with the example of the gene analysis, or the genome analysis, you have your genome analyzed or sequenced because it's exome sequencing has become affordable for many people right now. You have it sequenced in one place, you have the data analyzed in another place. So there will be a simultaneous competition in inverted commas of commercial actors and traditional actors in the clinical realm. And it will happen with increasing participation from citizens. And it will no longer be limited to the clinical domain. So this latter thing is certainly something that not everyone has been waiting for, but it's something that has already happened and that is already happening. And I think it would be great if we could participate in that. Thank you.